What's good, Baltimore? And welcome back to the show. This is episode 3, and today we have selected a peaceful, beautiful little hidden gem here in Baltimore City. We are currently sitting on, as far as I'm concerned, an unnamed, unmarked bridge that most of the folks I know around here have just labeled Graffiti Bridge. But we are currently sitting above Jones Falls River, which flows all along Falls Road, which is if you're not familiar to the Baltimore area, or even if you're from here and you haven't been, Falls Road is this gorgeous, long stretch of road, just completely overgrown by trees and grass and nature, and it's got little pockets of these abandoned buildings and graffitied up machinery, and every once in a while you drive under these giant bridge overpasses that kind of go across above you. So you really feel like it's this sunken natural hike almost, it's like right now in general, as I look around me, I just see trees and brick and the bridges stretching above on the right, and I know you can't see it. I wish you could. I tried my videography magic to set up a shot where this was in view, but as you can kind of see from from where I'm sitting, it would have to be camera at the edge of this, no railing, like kind of steep fall, and I would have to sit on the other side. So I don't know, not having like anything to protect me from falling backwards is a little nerve-wracking, but I'll try and show it at some point. But to my left is Horseshoe Falls. Yes, believe it or not, we have waterfalls here in Baltimore City. What? Yeah, and it's a really beautiful sight to see. You've got this whole stretch of river, all these little outlets where you can kind of stray from the regular road or path and come hang out with the ducks and the bugs and the birds. And then all the way over here, you've got Horseshoe Falls, where it's a bit of a steep incline if you're trying to go see it up close, but it is just really nice to see. It's called Horseshoe Falls because it's shaped like a horseshoe. It's this sort of halo effect of water falling down. And yeah, I mean, I've come here a few times, either on my own accord or I took like it was like a natural ecosystem study class when I was still going to MICA. So we would come here, we'd get water samples from the river, and we'd study the ecosystem of a natural space or natural park that is coexisting next to the light rail, basically a main road and a bunch of bridges and sewer systems. So don't get me wrong, I wouldn't swim in this river, and I wouldn't recommend you swim in this river. I don't know what's in there. Who knows what runoff is coming from all of the infrastructure around it. But regardless, this is, if you are ever looking for nature and you feel like you're stuck in the concrete jungle of Baltimore City, this is proof that you can find nature even as a city person. There's importance in that. Especially as an artist, I feel that, we can get absorbed in our work. I know I sure do. And there will be times where I will be in my apartment, at home, wherever I am at the moment, and I'll have a project, and the tunnel vision of getting this thing done can sometimes just completely take over my life, I let that happen with my thesis, where I pretty much, for an entire year, shut myself out to the world, lost a bunch of friends, lost connections that were meaningful to me, really just put the world on a back burner and put my work first. And I think what I took away from that experience was like, there's admiration in that. There's admiration in that, dedication to your work. But at the same time, it's like, I wasn't happy and I wasn't healthy. Some people take for granted how important. Oh, sorry, I just had this crazy looking bug fall on my head. There's a lot of bugs around here. You're going to be seeing me hanging out with the moths and the flies and the whatever the hell this little guy is. But as I was saying, you underestimate how important going outside is and interacting with other people is. You need a break. I don't know who you are or what you do, but take a break. Even if it's 10 minutes, just get up, walk away from whatever you're doing, and look at something else. Go smell fresh air, go touch grass, go call your mom, call your dad, call your best friend, call your siblings, whatever. But just like every once in a while, step away from what you're doing and just do something else. And this has always been a really big piece of advice from mentors for me as an artist, is you will stare at something you're working on for hours and hours and hours, and you will be sinking so much time into a piece, and you will grow to resent it. You've been staring at this thing for so long, and you start to hate it because you've been staring at it and you just can't think of anything else. But just getting up, walking away, not looking at it, going and doing something else, grabbing a coffee, grabbing some lunch, whatever, then coming back, you find that when you return, you start seeing things that you didn't see before because you've been staring at it for so long. And I found, especially with what I do, with wood carving, I will hate it, and like something won't be lining up, something will be missing, and I won't know what, and I will be like ripping my hair out trying to figure out what it is. And all it takes is me just like putting the tools down, getting up, going outside, going on a walk, finding something to eat, and then coming back after like maybe an hour, and boom, it clicks. I look at it with fresh eyes, I see it, and I can fix whatever it is that's been missing. Or maybe it was all in my head because I've been getting like highway hypnosis from working on something for so long. And so my recommendation to everyone, this doesn't just go to artists, this goes to anyone. Touch grass, go outside, man. Like, it's important to, it is important to focus on something other than your work every once in a while. You can't just sink an entire day into a project. You can, but like every once in a while, you got to find a break, because at least in my experience, it never feels fulfilling. I will spend an entire day carving, and I will have made great progress on the piece, but it won't feel like it because I didn't do anything else that day. I sunk 24 hours of my life into a piece, and don't get me wrong, there is romanticism in that. I love putting all of my time into my craft, but every once in a while, you need time alone, you need time with others. You gotta take care of yourself before you take care of your work. I feel like I've been doing that a lot this past week. A lot of people have been coming through for me. I went out to a bar with a buddy of mine I haven't seen in a while. I went out to another bar with another buddy I haven't seen in a while the next day. I went and invited a bunch of people over for a movie night the other night and caught up. And I went on a hike a few days later with a friend. And all these spontaneous plans, that's what keeps my life interesting and what keeps me happy. I am completely content with being alone in my apartment with nothing but a woodblock to work on and my ideas and every emotion that I have that goes into these pieces. But what really makes me fall asleep at night with a smile on my face is knowing that, I've spent some part of my week with those I loved, with people that I care about, but also people that care about me, I don't know. It's weird making friends as an adult. It's like a whole side conversation to be had about this, where it's like, when you make friends as a kid, it's easy. And weirdly enough, it's easy to keep those friends, because when you've grown up with people, they kind of know everything about you. Like, they've seen you at your worst. They've seen you at your cringiest high school, middle school state. And so there's some genuinity in these people that you've known for long, long periods of time. Almost like a brotherhood, a sisterhood to it. But making friends as an adult is weird. And so I can imagine that there are plenty of you out there, and I've suffered from this myself, that are just like, I don't want to put the time into making new friends anymore. Like, what if it doesn't work out? What if they end up being, what if they're fake as fuck? What if I've just wasted my time on a friendship, relationship that could have been put towards my work? And I don't think that's the healthiest way to look at it, because you got to have someone in your life, some people around you that support you, emotionally. They talk to you, you got to have some other people to talk to other than yourself, or at least in my experience, you're going to go crazy. I have gone entire weeks without leaving my house and talking to another human being, and I've become manic. And I feel like I'm actually going insane. I feel like Van Gogh. I'm going to chop off my ear. I'm just going to go nutso. But yeah, so find time to step away from your work, and find time to focus on things that aren't your work, because there's more to life than just work. As hard as it is to hear. I mean, it's hard hearing that for myself. I feel like if anyone told me that, I'd be like, whatever, man, you don't know. Like, I got a ticking time bomb, I gotta make as much work as possible before my time's up. But at the same time, I understand how valuable it is to step away and talk with people. I think I sink about 5 hours of my time into carving a woodblock every day. And that still leaves plenty of hours left to go enjoy life, So today, to kind of get back on some sort of track with this episode, not that there's ever a track or a formula. I just kind of talk. But I have been graced with our first question from a YouTube follower who watched the show and saw the first episode and sent in a question. So this, if my device will load, because there's no cellular out here in the little Baltimore forest, this question is from @TiffanyGary757. And Tiffany writes, let's see, where is it? When I get back into my art, When I get back into my art, a thought that creeps up in my mind is, how can I do this and make money from it? This to me slows down or straight up puts a stop to my creative flow altogether. Have you been there? How can someone stop that thought and just create just to create? Well, to answer that first part, yes, I have been there. There have been plenty of times where money, and I'm sure a lot of folks can agree to this, any creative minds can agree to the fact that money can be a really big roadblock in your creative practice, because especially as an early career artist myself, you're not making millions off of your work. You're not even close. It's a very slow buildup, and you just gotta keep that dedication, because right off the bat, right out of school, right out of a solo show or something, you're not. It's not a momentum that is being fueled to you. Like, you have to fuel that momentum, because there are times where I feel like, as an artist, the only person that can truly keep you going is you. You can have people support you, you can have people cheering you on, but, if you don't have that fire, if you don't have that drive to become an artist and make it your life, your full-time thing, and there are fluctuations to it. Maybe art's a hobby to you. Maybe art's your everything. There's levels to it, but you got to know where you're at. You got to know if you want this to be how you make money and how you live, or if it's just like a side gig. But if it is truly your passion, and you want to be a full-time artist and you want to live off of your work, then research is your first goal. I spent a lot of time trying to answer this exact same question for my own field, because it does vary. There are many different ways of making artwork. I don't know what yours may be, but as a printmaker, I spent a long time asking questions, which is, it seems like the obvious answer, ask questions, but so many people don't do it. When you are in an environment where you may be surrounded by other people in your field, printmakers, we have print fairs, we have, meetups, we have exhibitions, we have print shows. Take that time to ask questions of the people around you, because I guarantee there are multiple people in that room that are farther along in their career as you, who know some things you may not. And that's a good thing, Don't go in there shy and nervous about the idea that, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a lot less, fleshed out as these people. That's a good thing, You're supposed to be like that. You're supposed to learn from others. And so research, find forums in your specific creative field. If you're a painter, find other painters in your area, online, anywhere, and just ask them questions. Who cares if, I guarantee you're probably not bugging them if you just randomly DM them like, hey, I've got some questions. I'm really inspired by your artwork. Artists, for the most part, love educating other artists on what they do and love answering questions, I've asked dozens of printmakers how they got to where they're at, what they wish they knew going into becoming a printmaker that could really help progress them faster. What do they love about the craft? What do they do? Who did they talk to? Who was their mentor? How did they come up in their career, There are so many things you can ask people that will, I guarantee, set you on the right path towards whatever you're working on. Because it starts with learning from those who have come before you. And I feel like in art, it's always that way. We learn from the old masters. We learn from their work, their technique, their story, their history. And listen, you don't need to be basing all of your stuff and your work and your life off of dead people. But you should at least reach out to those who are still alive, who are still creating, who are, living as artists in a world that it seems almost impossible to do so. If they've done it, I guarantee you can do it too. You just need to ask questions. An extremely close friend of mine, also an artist, always told me, never be the most interesting person in the room, be the most interested person in the room. And I think that kind of sums up that whole answer that I'm providing here is, when you go somewhere, you don't have to be, and I've seen it before where I've gone to, because I'm also a comic artist, so I've gone to comic events and conventions where people will come up and they're trying so hard with their indie comic to look like they're the shit. They're coming in I'm the newest comic artist to be on the scene, and this is my book, so here's my card if you want to collaborate or anything. And they're like puffing their chest out, they're all macho. It's like, bro, you've got 200 followers on Instagram and you've sold like 2 copies of your book. Sit the fuck down. I think it's nice to humble yourself every once in a while and go to an event where you are surrounded by other people and and acknowledge that you're not above everyone else. To go there and just put your ego aside and just say, hey, there are people I can learn from at this event. Let me be that like curious little bug that's just, flocking to each individual table and asking all these questions. Like, there's no shame in that. There's no, that's not lame to ask questions, to be curious. Learn from the people around you. And all of that is to add to this, that is how you will find out how to make money, You need to build a name. People aren't going to buy your work if they don't know who you are. People aren't going to buy your work if you don't go out of your house to sell it, Find ways of doing so. Does having your work in exhibitions, make money for you? Does going to art festivals, does tabling help? Does getting a partnership with a gallery work? I don't know. I know how it works for me, but I know that it works different for a lot of different people. And if you just ask those around you, you'll find out. Because that's what I did. I asked printmakers how they did it and learned from them. And now the way I make money off of my artwork is I sign up for about one, art festival a month, some big art show, and I've dedicated and invested into a bunch of the supplies, a tablecloth, branding, cards, and all that. I package up my prints all nice. And like a car salesman, I spend an entire day, up to like 8 hours sometimes, standing at a table, talking to strangers and trying to convince them that this work of art by a person they've never heard of before is something they want in their home. That this wood carving of nude people smoking a bong on top of a cow should be put in their home, which... don't even get me started. Yeah, that's... I don't know who wants to buy my work, but I'm still going to make it. But, yeah, find your crowd, and I guarantee you'll make money off of it. Even if not, even if not a lot in the first half, you may have to get a day job and do this on the side. But do what you got to do, I mean, I'll admit, I work as a barista full-time, and I do artist stuff part-time, I do these tabling events on the weekend. I sell my work online, and I do these shows during the week. And my coffee shop job is what, makes sure that if I don't sell a single print that month, I'm still able to pay the bills, So do what you got to do. Because if you really love the craft, if you really love what you do and you love art, you will find a way. Because it won't just be an option, it will be the only option for you, the same way it is for me. If I'm not making work, what am I doing? And it can be also discouraging sometimes, don't get me wrong. For instance, I'll go on a little tangent here. I was recently invited to go to a sort of surprise party for one of my best friend's dads who's being promoted as a judge, And I'm like, it's in my hometown. It's a good excuse to go say hi to friends, old family members, all that. And so I'm at this really fancy party. I mean, they live in like a real nice house, nicer than I could ever imagine myself being in. And their backyard is just full of honorable judges, court members of this town, police officers, lawyers, doctors, physicians, all these people with doctorates. And it is very strange being the only artist of an entire party, of an entire group full of successful, wealthy, noble people. Because when you go in there, you grab your drink from the open bar and you come on over, you're like, hey, I haven't seen you guys in a while. And they're always curious. They're like, what are you up to nowadays? How's your art? And it's tough because I never expect someone to understand what it is I do, especially someone who actually has a field like that, you know. It's really cool hearing about, you know, my friends being in, getting their masters in psych, hearing people become therapists, lawyers, doctors. It's really cool seeing the people that I care about move up in life like that. I'm always so proud of them, and I will always, you know, push them to chase what it is they're passionate about. But I don't really expect them to understand what I do, right? Because it's a whole world of, like, this whole industry is so unique and hard to comprehend from the outside, you know? So I'm there with my drink and I'm trying to explain what I do. And don't get me wrong, pictures and videos help. I always show when I'm trying to explain what I do with wood carving and printmaking. Like, they'll give me the nods and I'll be like, okay, you don't know what I'm talking about. So I'll pull up a video of me pulling, you know, until they see video of me like peeling a piece of paper off that wood block. I feel like it finally clicks in their brain of what I do. But then their big question afterwards is, yeah, like, how do you make a living off of that? And the answer is, by selling the work, obviously, you know, selling that artwork that I'm showing you is how I make money. And internally, that is always the question, is like, well, am I selling enough, you know? And if you're not, go out there and find how to sell more, you know? I'm in a pretty good place right now where art is my part-time gig. I hope to have it a full-time gig very soon, but for now, having it be like, I don't know, like sometimes I will go to these print shows, these events, and if it's a good crowd, if I can do a good job of keeping my energy up, of talking to people and really selling myself as an artist, I will go home from one day with my rent. Like, I will be able to go home from one day of selling my art and be like, hey, I can pay rent off this. So now whatever I make the rest of this month is profit, is something I can keep in my pocket, is something I can put more towards my craft and my life. And so there's ways of doing it, you know, and it seems impossible because, I don't know, no one believes in it, or not a lot of people believe in it. So of course, when you are met with other people who don't understand it and don't believe in it, it can be discouraging. But I'm here to tell you that whoever you are, if you're at Tiffany Gary, if you're anyone watching this, you can make money off of your art. You just need to dig deep. You need to find it. We have the magic of the internet at our fingertips. Use that. There's forums out there, there's groups, there's meetups, there's print shows, there's exhibitions. Go to these things, show up, and learn. That is how you will find a way to make money, is learning from the people that already do. And yeah, it's a dream come true when you finally find that, you know. I may not be living off of my artwork, but just being able to say that I've sold out of an edition, just being able to say I've sold a piece, you know, to someone is a rush every single time. You know, I've got some work that's big, some work that's small. When I sell one of those big, massive woodcuts for like, it's a feeling that I cannot even describe to anyone that doesn't already understand it. You know, to have my work out there in the world, in someone else's possession, it's like they have a piece of me. They spent money on a piece of me that will hopefully live on for generations beyond me. Because that, at the end of the day, is something that I value, is the idea that when I die, I will have a history of prints and everything, of prints and books, and just this mark that I've left behind. And I'm sure a lot of artists care about that, or maybe they're just trying to make, well, they can, you know. But don't let money ever stop you. You know, you will find a way to make money off of your work, and even if you don't, even if I don't, even if it runs me broke, even if I'm working till the day I die and I can never really find that outlet of really making money, I don't care. I'm gonna keep making art until I can't anymore. And you know, there's always that saying where it's like, your art's gonna sell when you pass away because then it gains value. Whatever, if that's what happens, fine by me. As long as I made something, that's all I care about. Well, I think that kind of wraps up today's episode. If you are in the Baltimore area, please come check out Falls Road. You know, grab your bike, grab your car, go on a road trip. It's a beautiful scene. If you look up Horseshoe Falls, you will find this bridge just a few paces earlier. It's where the railing kind of dips over, and you'll be able to see it through the trees. But come check it out. It's really cool here. Leave your mark, just like I was talking about today. Leave your mark on the world. Leave your mark on this bridge. And go see the falls, go see the river, go hang out with your friends, go touch grass, see nature, and don't be a shut-in. And don't ignore the people that are important in your life. You know, get out there, spend time with those you love, spend time by yourself, spend time in your city, wherever you are. Appreciate where you are. Doesn't matter where you're from. Wherever you are has something significant, and that's why you're there. Make use of it. And yeah, wherever you're from, wherever you are, know that I am always here to support you in whatever you do. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to answer anything privately or on the show. And I don't know. I am very grateful for the fact that you have taken the time to listen to the show and support me and what I do. Because even if no one supports what I do, I'm still going to be doing it. You will still find me here talking to myself in some random pocket of Baltimore City. And I hope you do the same. Do what you care about, even when no one's looking. So, I'll see you next week in some new area. Let me know if you have a recommendation. I'd love to know where you want me to be next. And that's it. So, I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Thank God the sun didn't start moving in on me, because, man, I think the UV is supposed to be 10 today. So that was my fear, is that I was going to be stuck in the sun and I was going to get like a major sunburn just kind of sitting here talking to myself. For context, this is what I was looking at, guys. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Waterfall in the middle of Baltimore City, baby.